How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another one bar build in Gedonia. Today we're going to be using the Arcane Warrior armor set. Let's dive in and have a look at the armor. So here we have a nice looking armor set with a mask. Very rarely that you just see just the mask. You can see there with a sort of a quilted pattern on the tunic. Very magical looking set of armor. So now let's have a look at the armor stats. So with two pieces of the Arcane Warrior set, Arcane Barrage now casts on the run and attacks all enemies around the player. And Evasive Blink doesn't apply arcane instability and casts a powerful Arcane Nova. And if you have all 5 pieces, Magic Shield absorbs more damage and increases melee damage based on your arcane damage. You can also use Enchant Weapon skill without any elements. This is a heavy armor set with pretty low physical and magical absorption, pretty good damage to arcane magic spells, a hefty boost to health, slight increase to stamina, mid-range increase to mana, and also a pretty good, a decent boost to melee damage as well with a low magic resistance. All in all, this is a pretty balanced out armor set for an Arcane Warrior, so a battle mage, if you will. So you'd play it as that. Let's have a look at the accessories. First, the cloak. We went with Cloak of Arcane Power, just to mix it up a bit, because you get a bonus 200% damage to arcane magic spells. Plus, it's a good boost to health and mana. And for the accessories in this build, we use Critical Mass set. So if you have 2 of these items equipped, it increases the effect of Magic Overload by 30%. It also increases mana price by 30%. And if you have all 4 pieces, it increases it by 100%, both the effectiveness of overload and the mana price. I'm not sure if that goes in together, so it's 130 or it's just flat 100. We chose this because it does boost our arcane magic by 100% as well as other magical elements. But we're going to be focusing on just the arcane tree. Alright, we'll move on to the weapon. For the weapon, I went with the Earthbound Piercer. Each strike stacks damage absorbing shield on the player. Each strike has a chance to spawn an underground strike on an enemy around the player. Each strike can spawn waves of rocks all around the player. This does do decent damage. That was a mouthful. Also has a hefty boost to health and a hefty boost to stamina as well. I thought I might as well pick another spear because I don't think spears get enough love in this game. I don't know, it's always sort of the axe, a mace, or a sword. Never really see too many spears. Alright, let's check out the skills. So for the skills, we start in Ferocity. We got Powerful Strike level 2, so again, this is going to be our single target damage dealer. Then we also went with War Scream level 2, so a boost to our melee damage by 150%. That lasts for 10 seconds. Then we went to Whirlwind Strike level 2, a bit of AoE. More than 3 targets, or 3 or more targets, you want to sort of spam this instead of Powerful Strike. Then we've of course got Rage, so every stack of that will boost our damage by 1% because we have a 2-handed weapon. It gives us 2 stacks, so instead of 0.5%, we get 1%. So 2 stacks every hit. Then we also have Angry Strike, and this uses up our 50 rage, and it will be doing a piercing strike that reduces the armor by 50% for 10 seconds. So we can get a lot more damage through to the enemy. Next up we have Killing Frenzy, which doubles our rage generation, so we'll get 2% melee damage bonuses each hit instead of 1. Then we have Critical Strike level 2, which just boosts our critical strike chance by 5%. Then melee damage level 5 increases our melee damage by 70%, and also 2-handed weapons level 2, which boosts our damage with 2-handed weapons by 30%, our attack speed by 20%, and also crit chance by 4%. Moving on to Arcane. So we got Magic Overload. Next up in Combat Mastery, we have Enchant Weapon, and because we don't have an element for this build, being an Arcane Warrior with Magic Shield, we don't need an element. It'll just use an Arcane Blast instead, which it sort of does the same thing anyway. Cleaves attack deals 50% of main weapon damage scaled with melee and magic bonuses. Then we have Piercing Strikes level 2. So we have a 33% chance to inflict a debuff on an enemy that increases their damage taken by 1% every stack. And level 2 just adds the trauma effect to the target, which reduces their attack and movement speed by 20% for 15 seconds. Next up, we just have Fencing level 4. So we've just completed the combo tree. And our final attack in the combo deals additional armor piercing effects with 100% chance that will proc. Moving on to Arcane. So we've got Magic Overload. For 5 seconds applies a buff that will increase our magic power by 60%, but all spells will require 80% more mana. Do more damage, but you have to pay more, which is not too bad. The Mastery skill Maximum Overload. So Magical Overload magic power is 200% magic power at the cost of 400% mana cost. And each point of intellect also adds 30% magic power. So if you want, you can get rid of a little bit of agility and then boost up a point in intellect, or if you want, so for an extra 30%. Next up we have Blink. So we got Blink to level 3, which teleports us away with decreased cooldown and mana cost, but we upgraded it to Evasive Blink. So this is just a passive, and Blink replaces our basic dodge. So we can blink away in any direction that we want, and it will apply a debuff on us, Arcane Instability, which increases our mana cost by our next blink by 200%. But with our Arcane Warrior armor, we negate that, so it won't do the Arcane Instability. Next up, we have Arcane Barrage. Shoots up to 3 arcane arrows to each enemy in front of the player. That deals 16 basic damage, maximum of 10 targets. It won't just do it in front of the player. This is another AoE spell. It'll just shoot out whatever it needs, so maximum of 10, of course. And it'll just be hitting all the targets around us. You'll just be popping that in amongst the group. Next up, we have Slow Time level 3, which creates a zone of slow time. It slows down all enemies and all enemy projectiles for 30 seconds. And it's a pretty big bubble. So you want to pop this at the start of combat as well, just to slow everyone down, all the projectiles coming in from ranged attackers, and you should be fine. Next up we have Magic Shield, and a Magic Shield just absorbs all damage at the cost of mana. So the more mana you have, the more mana regen you have. You can sort of keep this up and lasting. And also with our Arcane Warrior set, Magic Shield also increases our melee damage output from our Arcane Magic bonus. So this one's a must-have for this build, just to boost up that damage that we have. Next up, we have Mana Bonus level 3, just passive, gives us 100 mana. And also Mana Replenishment, which increases passive mana regeneration by 300%. So you want this just to keep your mana pool sort of high. Try and keep it full all the time, just because of that arcane or that magic overload. You want to keep that up as much as you can as well, so you can release more powerful spells. Next up, we have Magic Resistance. This increases our magical resistance by 9%. Next up, we have the Defense Tree with, of course, Defense Master, which increases our total health by 30%. Next up in Banditry, we just have Glancing Blows level 1 and level 2. So every time we are damaged, we have a 10% chance to negate it. Lower our health, the more chance we have of negating the damage. The more agility we have, it just adds another 10% of evasiveness. And also Glancing Blows will never kill us, and that's level 2. Alright, on to the talents. So we put 5 points in health, just increases our health by 500. Mana bonus increases our mana by 375. Our melee damage bonus boosted up by 250%, and also magic bonus, which increases our magic damage by 125%. Let's see what damage we can do with this one. Alright, so we are just about ready to go in. So when we actually use our magic shield, you can see it boosts our melee damage by 757%. That's why I chose that. Very strong indeed. Plus our War Scream can just really dominate the battlefield here. Just want to pierce as much as you can. Use Arcane Barrage. Get out of there. Just use your whirlwinds. Even Piercing Strike really does help. And you will be losing mana with Magic Shield on. but you'll be doing a lot more damage. You'll be knocking down the targets heaps too. And there we go. They all fell. So you can loot these guys for concentrated arcane energy. I don't really do this, but you need mana with this build. So you can just pop one of them and you just get a massive mana regen. So you can pop your magic shield again. Pop everything else. Just go nuts. Just take out all of these guys. The hell out of there. Use your enchant weapon. Use the concentrated arcane energy. Very good barrage of arcane missiles too. Now if we can only get this guy. And he's done. You can see it does a lot of damage. You just need to keep that arcane magic shield up, and also you pretty much get 2 shields with the earth shield and also the magic shield. You really want to keep all your mana up. So if you can start farming these, the sooner the better. Like the concentrated arcane energies. As soon as you can get into the rift, I just go nuts. Try and farm as much as you can. You actually do get quite a lot. You can see there, killed them all with our enchanted weapon ability, our cleave. With this build, it is very magic heavy, so you really do need to keep your mana right up. Just for the arcane shield, keep you protected at all times. But once you start farming the rift, or even if you go through it once, you will be able to upkeep all of your mana needs. You shouldn't really have to heal because of the earth shield and the mana shield put together. You'll be absorbing all the damage. You can do a lot more damage with, of course, enchants, poisons, patching and embroidering your armor, and also hardening your weapon and armor as well, just like any other build. It does play like a battle mage, so with single targets you want to use powerful strike and line up the enemies, use your enchanted weapon and just pierce through them all, and you can actually do about 20k 40k with a crit if you're lucky. You can really take out enemies very quickly like that. Also, if you get surrounded, you can just use arcane barrage or even the whirlwind strike. But anyway guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this build. This is another really fun build. I really did like playing as the Arcane Warrior, Battle Mage, and with a spear too. That's going to do it from me, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this build, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next one. Alright guys, take care.